The trial of the three men accused of killing Ahmaud Arbery, turning its focus to the owner of the unfinished home that's at the center of much of the case. Meanwhile, a defense attorney complained about black pastors in the courtroom. CNN's Ryan Young live in Brunswick, Georgia, with the latest on this. Ryan.
Yeah, good morning, John. Talk about a strange day in court. First of all, that testimony that you were talking about was on video. It was a video deposition. In fact, some of the jurors were having trouble keeping their eyes open. But the most exciting thing that happened in court yesterday was this outburst from the defense attorney that happened with the jury outside of the courtroom. In fact, take a listen to some of the things he had to say.
All right, good morning, everybody.
A day unlike any other in the trial of three men accused of murdering 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery.
We don't want any more black pastors coming in here, or other Jesse Jackson, whoever was in here earlier this week.
Marked by a racially loaded request by defense attorney Kevin Goff, at one point misidentifying Reverend Al Sharpton, who had been in the courtroom Wednesday to support the Arbery family.
We want to keep politics out of this case. So I'm asking the court to take appropriate steps to make sure that the gallery, which is already limited in this case, isn't being utilized for a purpose that could be viewed as improper.
Goff objected to nationally recognized civil rights leaders sitting in the courtroom besides the victim's family. The judge seemingly confused about what the defense wanted.
What is the motion? It's not really a motion. It's a reminder of the court's previous instructions to keep outside influences outside the courtroom.
From state?
It's a public courtroom.
At one point, Goff's argument made a bizarre, racially charged turn.
If a bunch of folks came in here dressed like Colonel Sanders with white masks sitting in the back, I mean, that would be good.
And Judge Timothy Walmsley cut him off, dismissing the request.
As long as things are not disruptive and it's not a distraction to the jury or anything else going on in the courtroom, so be it. I'm not going to blanketly exclude members of the public from this courtroom.
In a case where race has played a central role from the beginning, the request from the defense touched a nerve.
I'm very surprised to know that he frowned upon anybody, any pastor that would come in to sit with the family to keep us encouraged. It was just very insensitive.
In a statement, Al Sharpton characterized Goff's comments as pouring salt into the wounds of Arbery's family, saying it underscores the disregard for the value of the human life lost and the grieving of a family in need of spiritual and community support. On Thursday, the state presented only one witness. Larry English Jr., the man who owned the unfinished Attila Shores home Arbery was seen inside the day of the shooting, was not able to testify in person due to a medical issue.
That seems to be a true and accurate representation of your house, maybe in May or roughly thereof. In 2020? Yes.
Instead, English testified in a deposition recorded in September that he put up cameras while his home was under construction out of liability concerns for people on his property.
I had 3 or 4 cameras in front of the house, and one inside the living room and one inside the garage.
He testified that surveillance footage at the home captured people on the property several times in late 2019 and early 2020. In some instances, he called 911 about the intrusions.
I got a trespasser there, so he's a colored guy, got real curly looking hair, he's tattooed down both arms, and he's over there kind of wandering around. Did you ever see that person take anything that night? No.
English also called police when he saw a couple trespassing on the property in late 2019.
How many are there total? There was a male and a female.
Gregory McMichael, his son Travis, and William Bryan Jr. are accused of chasing Arbery in their vehicles and killing him in the neighborhood after Arbery was spotted inside English's home on February 23, 2020 by a neighbor. English told the defense he took up a neighbor's offer to keep an eye on the property.
And you received that message, and you were aware that Diego Perez was offering to essentially be a neighborhood watch for your property?
Yes.
But he testified he did not make the same arrangement with the McMichaels.
And at any point during your interactions with the McMichaels, did you ever give them permission to go on your property, express permission? No. Did you ever tell them they couldn't go on your property? No.
Defense attorneys say the defendants suspected Arbery of burglarizing English's home after the neighborhood learned of the string of trespassing incidents and were attempting to make a citizen's arrest.
You made your neighbors aware, the ones we've mentioned, that you had stuff stolen out of the boat, right?
Yes.
And you wanted your neighbors, if they could, to help you catch the guy that had done it.
Yes.
You never told them at any point, and it wasn't stolen while the boat was on the property. It was stolen while it was parked at Stalby's Heating and Air.
Never told them that.
They were left with the impression that stuff had been stolen from your boat at 220 Satilla Drive.
Yes, sir.
John, I got to tell you, watching that video deposition yesterday all day long was very tough, especially for those who were in the courtroom, because at some point it just sort of dragged on. It was hard to keep your attention to it. But I will tell you, those comments have really sparked some outrage across the country with what was said in court. Let's talk about today, though. 9 o'clock, court start again. Another police officer who arrived on scene will be in court facing questions about exactly what happened as the defense and prosecution try to move this case forward. John?
It was something. It was said out loud in court. I know it wasn't in front of the jury, but it was for the country and the world to hear. Wow. Ryan Young, terrific reporting. Thank you very much.
Let's talk now with one of the black pastors inside the court yesterday, Reverend William Barber. Okay, Reverend, first off, I do just want to play again what the attorney said here. Let's listen.
If we're going to start a precedent, starting yesterday, where we're going to bring high-profile members of the African-American community into the courtroom to sit with the family during the trial in the presence of the jury, I believe that's intimidating, and it's an attempt to pressure, could be consciously or unconsciously, an attempt to pressure or influence the jury. We don't want any more black pastors coming in here, or other Jesse Jackson, whoever was in here earlier this week, sitting with the victim's family, trying to influence the jury in this case. If a bunch of folks came in here dressed like Colonel Sanders with white masks sitting in the back.
I mean, Reverend, what did you think when you heard that comment?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. It's a bizarre comment by a lawyer who doesn't really have a case because his own clients had their actions, their killing, their lynching, filmed and videoed, which is strange in and of itself. But I want to take another look at this. Is really not about an attack on Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton or me. The most exciting thing yesterday was black and white and brown people marching together. We led a march and a protest outside. We don't need to make it about this. This lawyer doesn't have a case, so he wants to make preachers the issue, and I'm not taking the bait. First of all, I'm not a black pastor. I'm a pastor. I'm not consecrated as a black bishop. I'm consecrated as a bishop. But what he said is actually a godsend in some ways for America, because it exposes a way of thinking. Blackness means intimidation. Blackness means intimidation. And he wants to, and so by saying that and opening his mouth, he exposes that he sees blackness as a threat. And so these men that killed Ahmaud, a young electrician that just wanted to give his mom and daddy the kind of house that they dreamed of, they were right to do what they did, because when they saw his blackness, they saw someone who had to have done something. They saw intimidation. Remember, this is the Deep South. Notice he did not say pastors, he said black pastors. And what we must focus on is, why would he specifically use blackness in here and connect it to intimidation? Because that's at the heart of this case. These men should be heroes. They should be seen as protectors of the community. And the only reason they stopped this young man, Ahmaud, was because of his blackness. And blackness in this sense is seen as a threat, automatically intimidating. In some instances in the white supremacist mind, blackness, particularly with a black man, means a beast, an animal, forgive me, it means a nigger. It means it's somebody who automatically is a problem. He did not say pastors, he said black pastors. And we as black pastors don't need to take this personally because of our skin color. Because I'm not a black pastor, I'm a pastor. We need to interpret this for America. This is a very teachable moment. Blackness is a threat. That's what got Emmett Till killed, Timmy Rice killed, George Floyd killed, Tawana Brawley. That's what got people killed. Blackness being seen as a threat. And now we know, lastly, it's not just something in the hands of a racist cop. It's not just something at a racist rally, but even in the mindset of defense lawyers, blackness is intimidation automatically and needs to be stopped, needs to be purged, needs to be put out, needs to be barred.
I also wonder, as this trial is playing out, you also have the Kyle Rittenhouse trial playing out. And I wonder what you think of this theme, that runs through both of them, of wannabe white vigilanteism. What do you think about that?
Well, when you think deeply about it, it's as old as, the racist mindset in this country. I was talking to some white people in the march yesterday who asked us to come back. I was there at the invitation of one of the lawyers in the family. We were talking about that. It's reminiscent of the slave patrols. It's reminiscent of those who believe they just had a right to be violent. We live in a country where lynching was once a community affair, where killing black men was something that people did and took pictures around it. I mean, you look at some of the photos from the past, and when we see this kind of attitude in the midst of all of the racialized rhetoric we've seen from places as high as the White House, and this sense that we are protecting our way of life. It's in the politics. That's what Make America Great is about. We've got to protect our way of life. We've got to save America. We've got to stop from. And this lawyer put it out there, because blackness is the issue. If it's black, it's intimidating. It's a problem. And then people feeling like they have a license. I mean, I don't think most Americans realize these killers filmed this. They never thought that they would be seen as criminals. They filmed it for history. They filmed it for future generations. They filmed it to be shown. Look at what we did to protect you. Look at what we did. And they never saw Brother Avery's humanity. Automatically, his blackness, like the lawyer said, was intimidating and was a problem. And this is a problem for America, not just for black people. That's why one of the things I think is that not only should pastors come in mass maybe, but every day. I've already had some calls from people who happen to be white, from some rabbis, from imam, and said, you know what, we need to sit in there as people of faith, maybe 3 a day, every day, and not let this lawyer, because he doesn't have a case, twist this all up. There's a problem in America where the racist mindset believes there needs to be some kind of purging or something to preserve the American way of life. And it's not new, and it's very dangerous. And that's why I don't want this to be about me. It's not about me or Jesse or Al or any other preacher. It is about something deeper. Black pastors, blackness being a threat and being a problem, and something that is worthy of being put out, purged, and destroyed.
Yeah, it was rhetoric of another era, no doubt. Reverend William Barber, thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you. Take care.